of some of the musicians, but except for one, none of them is standing any longer. And so I'm not really focusing on that. And I'm kind of, we'll be looking more at the music that was created in Triplicate. And I'd like to introduce some of the resource people. So SL Narasimhan, who is Parthasarathi's neighbor practically, because Parthasarathy can't come out without SL knowing about it because he lives on the opposite side of the time. And then we've got Aarti and Archana, come step forward, who are going to sing for us during the course of this walk, which will last for the next 2 hours. So you're all standing at what is a Vijayanagar period piece, which is known as the Andal Neerathu Mandapam. This is not Vijayanagar, what you see in front of it, but that is essentially because post TASMAC, many people feel that this is the ideal place to come and rest and relax. So they put this grill and they've covered it for the protection of the Mandapam itself. But till last year, we were not even very much aware of the beauty of this Mandapam, because there were 24 coats of lime plaster on every wall, on every pillar of this Mandapam. And there were shops all around it. And there was another fairly hideous structure that was in front of it. The last year, the temple undertook a very, very scientific restoration, during the course of which they not only discovered the beauty of this Mandapam, but they also discovered an inscription belonging to Rajendra Chola inside the temple, which had not been seen before. And they also discovered a mural of the Kurukshetra battle depicted during the late Pallava period, which probably means 8th century or so. Both a portion of the plaster just collapsed, and then they discovered that the painting was under it. Now the question is, why did anybody want to plaster this painting? We have no idea. And then the plaster on this particular Mandapam was removed, and we can see a whole series of, there are 16 pillars in all, and you can see some wonderful carvings. All of them brought to light once the plaster coat was removed. This should really be serving as an example of conservation for all temples in the rest of Tamil Nadu. Now this is known as the Andal Neerathu Mandapam because during the month of Margazhi, the 9 days preceding Bogi, Andal will be brought here. And because Andal is supposed to be coming of age before she marries Ranganatha Swami, and so she is brought here, and then there will be celebrations over here in this Mandapam. It is used only for Andal, nothing else. So it's exclusively meant for her, and it's a Vijayanagar period construction. So since we have started with Andal, let's have Vanga Kadal Kadaindu by Andal herself and sung by Aarti and Archana, tuned by none other than Sangeeta Kalanidhi Ariyapudi Ramanujayenga.
கடல் கடைந்த மாதவனே கேசவனே வங்க கடல் கடைந்த மாதவனே கேசவனே வங்க கடல் கடைந்த மாதவனே கேசவனே திங்கள் திருமுகத்தில் சேழையான் சென்றிலே சேவங்க கடல் கடைந்த மாதவனே கேசவனே திங்கள் திருமுகத்தில் சேழையான் சென்றிலே அங்க பறி கொண்ட வாற்றை அணி புதுவை அங்க பறி கொண்ட வாற்றை அணி புதுவை அங்க பறி கொண்ட வாற்றை அணி புதுவை பைங்கமலதன் தெரியல் பட்டபிரான் கோதை சொன்ன பைங்கமலதன் தெரியல் பட்டபிரான் கோதை சொன்ன சங்க தமிழ்மாலை முப்பதும் தபாமே சங்க தமிழ்மாலை முப்பதும் பாமே இங்கு பரிசுரை பாரிரண்டு மால்வரை தோள் சங்க தமிழ் மாலை முபதும் தபாமே இங்கு பரிசுரை பாரிரண்டு மால்வரை தோள் செங்கண் திருமுகத்து செல்வ திருமாலா செங்கண் திருமுகத்து செல்வ திருமாலா செங்கண் திருமுகத்து செல்வ திருமாலாய் எங்கும் திருவருள் பெற்று இங்குருவரம் பாவாய் எங்கும் திருவருள் பெற்று இங்குருவரம்
Thank you. Before we come back to the temple, let's go down the sacred tank of Tiruvallikeeni and let's look at some of the legends, some of the music that happened here, some music that may not have happened here but had a very close association with this place. And so I request you to follow me. We go down the tank and then we come to the other side where there is a dilapidated building with a small effigy of Mahatma Gandhi on it. So let's see what was the story there, what was the history behind the place, and what was the art that that building contributed to us. Thanks. So this is the building of the Mahatma Ji Seva Sangam, and this is all that you can see of it today. It's a ruin. There are no members. There are no living members now any longer, and nobody knows what's going to happen to the building. I know she is the last one. G.P. Kamala, who passed away day before yesterday, is the last member of the Mahatma Ji Seva Sangam. So the history of this Sangam goes back to a doughty woman of Triplicane, a woman called Vaimu Kodai Nayaki. Vaimu Kodai Nayaki, born in 1901 and then married at the age of 7 to Vaimu Parthasarathy of Triplicane, who was 40. And Kodai Nayaki was illiterate. But the family was a very well-to-do family of Triplicane. We passed by their house when we finished the walk and we are going for breakfast. Now what happens is that somewhere along the line, Kodai Nayaki's mother-in-law realizes that Kodai has got a great talent for telling stories. And so she is encouraged to tell stories to all the girls in the neighborhood. She didn't know how to read or write. So the neighbor, Patammal, actually writes the story as Kodai is telling the story. And that's how in 1924 the first novel, Indra Mohana, is brought up. And Indra Mohana becomes so successful that Kodai now has to learn how to read and write Tamil so that she can write her own stories from then on. In 1925, Baduvur Doraisamy Ayindar, some of you who have read Tuppariyum Sambu and other such things, you will know of him. He realized that this is a great talent and he encouraged her and he said, you should now start publishing your stories by yourself. There is a defunct magazine called Jagan Mohini. You acquire the rights of that magazine and you become the editor. So 1 year after being illiterate, she not only had to learn how to read and write, but she also became the editor of a magazine. So by 1925, Jagan Mohini had started coming out and stories began to flow out of Vaimu Kodai Nayaki, who used to write under the name of Vaimu Ko. So one of the most famous set of 3 initials in Tamil-speaking parts of the world in those days. And slowly began to bring about, very maudlin stories. Generally, if you read it from the first line, it's like reading Dickens, lots of cruelty towards women, children and all that. That's how it is, and today it's very difficult to sit and read any of them. But in her time, she was a pathbreaker. In 1931, Mahatma Gandhi comes to Madras. Kodai Nayaki, of course, belongs to a very well-to-do family. You're going and meeting a celebrity. So you wear all the jewels that you have, chains and everything, and you go and meet him. Gandhi, on seeing her, bursts out laughing. So she then asks through a translator as to what is it that Gandhi is laughing about. He says, when Bharat Mata is in chains, it is very appropriate that you are also in chains. Only difference is that she is wearing iron chains, you are wearing gold chains. That's the only difference. So there is a complete transformation on the basis of that one comment. And having taken off all her jewelry except her Mangal Sutra, she gives up wearing silk and begins to wear khadi. And then encourages all the women around her to also begin wearing khadi. Now, Kodai could sing very well when she was young. And I will tell you that story when we go further down this road. But just keep that in mind that Kodai now had become a speaker, a storyteller, a singer, and the editor of a magazine. A very successful magazine at that. And this magazine began to carry forward the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. So, she learned Hindi and then she was teaching people Hindi. So, several things were being done by this one woman. Several other women had also joined the fray, like Ambuja Mal and several others who all, Ammu Swaminathan, several of them of Madras, they were all part of it. Now, Kodai had only one ambition in life, to go to prison on behalf of Mahatma Gandhi. So they all began to picket liquor shops on NSC Bose Road, what is today NSC Bose Road, Mount Road and all that. But because Abu Jamal was part of it, Abu Jamal's father was the Advocate General of the government of Madras. So who would arrest the daughter of the Advocate General? So these women would be given bottles of soda and color and things like that. The shopkeeper would welcome them inside. Then after a few minutes, they would be sentenced. So then finally, Abu Jamal realized that it was her father who was behind the non-arrest. So then they petitioned the father and said, no, we all have to go to prison. So in 1931, finally, all women other than Abu Jamal are arrested and taken away. Now the reason why she was not arrested is her father very cleverly submitted a petition saying she is mentally unsound. And she had a history of hysteria. So naturally she was not arrested. So she underwent a hunger strike at home, Abu Jamal, not eating for 3 nights so that the father will allow her to be arrested by the police. And finally, pickets a liquor shop successfully, gets arrested, and all of them are sent to Vellore prison. Kodai Nayaki, Ambu Jamal's aunt Janamal, who had given up her husband several years ago and come back home. Now, when they went there, they were all given a prison badge attached to a chain. I believe Janamal said, Purushan katina tali la patta kashtalam boru nee vere tali katavalla. We will carry it with us. This badge we will keep. And so they had a great time in prison for 1 year because they would cook their own food. Some women prisoners would deliver babies, so they would deliver the children. Every afternoon they would gather, they would sing songs. And when the time for release came, each one would be given a great send-off in prison. With special food being cooked, things like that. So finally, in 31, Kodai Nayaki comes out of prison. Again, performs another act of picketing and goes back into prison. So in 32, she finally comes out. And for every wedding that she would attend, she would wear Kaidi number, whatever that was, that badge, as the brooch. And that was the only ornamentation that she would wear. And many people would say, Abasapnamari, but she wouldn't be bothered about it. So this woman, then, in 1947, when Mahatma Gandhi, 48 January, when Mahatma Gandhi is shot dead, she says that the women of Triplicane have to form a body which will represent the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. And that is how Mahatma Ji Seva Sangam was set up. And this is where women were taught how to stitch, women were taught how to teach, women were taught how to sing, several things, and they were all taught to have an independent career of their own. So widowhood, they were asked to come out of widowhood and learn and things like that. All those noble sentiments were in this particular building, of which nothing remains today. Now, Kodai Nayaki herself became chairman of the censor board and then would go and get the film certified. And after the film is certified, she would then go and watch it in a theatre by herself to ensure that the cut portions haven't come back. And this is how she administered the censor board for several years. In 1956, her only son died. And that was a great shock to this woman. She never really recovered from it. She contracted tuberculosis. And then in 1961, she passed away. That brings to an end a great life. But several other women whom she had supported, they carried on the Sangam till around 10 years ago. after which it's now completely folded up. Kodai Nayaki's contributions to music, because she was singing so well, and I'll tell you the first story later, but Bengaluru Nagaratnamma, who was one of the best known Devadasis of Madras, she came to Kodai Nayaki's family and said, "This girl is singing so well, you must get her to perform in public." Now, this was an Orthodox Iyengar family, and it was bad enough that the woman was now owning a magazine and things like that, and a public personality at that. So the mother-in-law, while she was all encouraging, was very reluctant to allow her to sing in public, saying that the Orthodox Brahmins will come and protest. So Nagaratnamma, I believe, said, "Na pinadi ukkandu tambura podrenge yama vandu protest pandran paathukalam." Now Nagaratnamma was 4 feet length, width, height, everything. So she sat behind Kodai Nayaki and strummed the tambura for the first performance. After which Kodai Nayaki became a concert singer as well. Then in 1931, in Kanchipuram, a young girl begins to perform and she wins a competition, and her photograph is published in the newspapers of Madras. In her family there is great mourning because the 8 aunts who are yet to get married are now never going to get married because a girl's photo has come in the paper. Oor mano yaar vandu inme indha kudumbatla kalyaணம் pannikku pora. So they wanted to end the career of the girl then. But it was Kodai Nayaki who went to Kanchipuram not once but 8 times and convinced the father that the girl had to become a Carnatic musician. And that girl was D.K. Pattanam. So if Nagaratnamma had not done that, if Kodai Nayaki had not done that, we wouldn't have D.K. Pattanam. So on these steps, it is very appropriate that we have 2 girls standing and they are going to sing a song about Mahatma Gandhi.
Shanti nilavave, shanti nilavave, ulagile shanti nilavave, ulagile shanti nilavave, Atma Shakti yonga vendum, ulagile shanti nilavave. Atma Shakti yonga vendum, ulagile shanti nilavave. Gandhi Mahatma kattalaiyaduve, Gandhi Mahatma kattalaiyaduve, Gandhi Mahatma kattalaiyaduve, Gandhi Mahatma kattalaiyaduve, karunai ottumai kaliroli parati, Gandhi Mahatma kattalaiyaduve, karunai ottumai kaliroli parati, Gandhi Shakti yonga vendum, ulagile shanti nilavave. Odume shriyon manamadu tiranga, lakunamadu gathidu. Odume shriyon manamadu tiranga, lakunamadu gathidu. மடமை அச்சம் அறுப்போம் மக்களின் ஆசிரார் நல்லொழுக்கம் வளர்ப்போம். மடமை அச்சம் அறுப்போம் மக்களின் ஆசிரார் நல்லொழுக்கம் வளர்ப்போம். திடம் தரும் அஹிம்சார் யோகினம் தந்தி ஆத்மானந்தம் பெறவே. திடம் தரும் அஹிம்சார் யோகினம் தந்தி ஆத்மானந்தம் பெறவே. கடமை மறவோம் அவர் கடன் தீர்ப்போம். கடமை மறவோம் அவர் கடன் தீர்ப்போம். கலங்கமில் அறம் வளர்ப்போம். எங்கும் சாந்தி நிலவவே. ஆத்ம சக்தி ஓங்கவே, உலகிலே சாந்தி நிலவவே ஓம் சாந்தி நிலவவே ஓம் சாந்தி நிலவவே ஓம் சாந்தி ஓம் சாந்தி.
The oldest mutts of the Vaishnavite order. It's the first mutt. And it is the head of the Tenkalai establishment. And this particular temple falls under the Tenkalai administration. And so it is but natural that the local branch of the mutt is right here, and right opposite is the temple Gopuram, as you can see. And it always gives a very beautiful view from here, and you can even take a good photograph without the grill obstructing you. Now the Vanamamalai Mutt itself is headquartered in Tirunelveli in a place called Nanguneri. And this is Tiruvallikeni, the sacred tank. This is a fairly largish tank as per city standards. But if you go to Nanguneri, nothing will ever prepare you for the sight of the temple tank. It is not a tank. You can't see the other end of it at all. It's like a ocean. And when it is full of water as it is now, as it has happened in the last 1 week or so, you can actually see ripples and waves coming onto the banks. And there are no organized steps in most part of it, so it's a completely rural setting. It's one of the most stunningly beautiful pieces of natural work. And they actually say that the Nanguneri is because there are 4 areas that have got combined together to form one area. And on the banks of it, you have this very small village which is called Nanguneri village. And you've got the huge temple, disproportionately large temple for the size of that village. You've got a Perumal Kovil, where the Swami, the Perumal, is called Vanamamalai Totadri. Actually, the original is Thoya Adri, water mountain. When he appeared, he was so dark and blue and huge that he looked like a huge rain-bearing cloud. So it was Thoyadri, which became Totadri over a period of time. It is very difficult to see the image because it's deep inside the sanctum. But if you are allowed inside, it's one of the most beautiful representations of God. Because while here, Parthasarathi is not alone. As you know, Parthasarathi is with wife, son, brother and grandson. He's all 5 of them are together in the sanctum. More on that when we go there. But Devanayaka Perumal, which is the Perumal there, Totadri, he beats Parthasarathi hollow because there is a huge ensemble of Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Neela Devi, and then there is Indran and Chandran, and then some Apsaras are all waving fans and stuff like that. All kinds of things. There are around 25 or 30 people in the sanctum. And he is seated with one hand on his lap. And apparently, it is inviting everybody to come and sit on his lap, saying that you are all my children, come. So that is supposed to be the representation of God over there. It is unsurpassed. And then there is a oil well, in which they pour the oil after the Thirumanjanam, and everybody is asked to take the oil as a cure for various things. The goddess there is Sri Varamangai, and she is supposed to have come out of the tank, and so she is Lakshmi and Sri Varamangai. Just as here, you've got Vedavalli Tayar, who is supposed to have come out of the Tiruvallikeni tank, and she is the goddess over here. The Vanamamalai Mutt, which is just outside the Nanguneri temple, has a jeer, and apart from its contribution to Vaishnavite tradition, it is also known for its contribution to music. Because in the 19th century, there were 2 brothers, Srinivasa Iyengar and Azhagappa Iyengar, who belonged to Vanamamalai. And Azhagappa Iyengar was a tutor to the jeer himself, that is the head pontiff of the Mutt. And these 2 brothers composed 100 songs, mainly on the Perumal and the Tayar in that particular temple. And today they are all known as the Vanamamalai jeer compositions, because the jeer is the representative of the Mutt, so the songs are attributed to the jeer. But actually the songs were composed by Srinivasa Iyengar and Azhagappa Iyengar, the 2 brothers, who lived between the 1860s and the early part of the 1900s. And later, Ariyakudi Ramanuja Iyengar is the man who really fished out 4 compositions and sang them very regularly and made them very popular. One was Jane Vina, the other was Dasharatha Sutta, then the other one was Janaki Ramana. These were all songs that he made very, very popular. And it is said that several years later, when Ramanuja Iyengar went to the Mutt to perform, they asked him as to whose compositions these were. And he said that they have come from your own Mutt. After which, Ramanuja Iyengar became a very honored and respected invitee in that particular Madam. He could go, despite his rather unconventional personal life, they overlooked all that and they, music kind of overcame everything else. So the G.R. Swamigal, the songs that were Arahappas and Srinivasas became G.R. Swamigals over a period of time. The story about Ramanuja Iyengar and the songs, another story is that Dasaratha Sutta became so very popular that in a particular concert, he had begun to sing and he had sung the third song when the deputy collector of the area came and said, Dasaratha Sutta Padungo. So Ramanuja Iyengar was the kind of man who wouldn't get flustered with anything. He was absolutely like a fish on a slab. So apparently he sang Dasaratha Sutta. And then after some time, the local Munsif came, 3 or 6 songs down and said, Neenga Dasaratha Sutta paadano. So apparently he sang Dasaratha Sutta again. Third time, the local Zamindar's wife came towards the Mangalam and said, Nani Kacheri Pura mispante Dasaratha Sutta paadino. Again he sang it. Now I don't think any audience today would have sat through this kind of thing. Only Ramanuja Iyengar could have got away with that kind of prank on an audience. Of course, he did several other things with audiences, but more that when we had do a Ramanuja Iyengar walk sometimes. Now, the song here is Matim Dehi in the Raga Kalyani and part of the Vanamamalai compositions. And this is on Lakshmi, who is considered to be the first of the Vaishnavite Acharyas because she is supposed to have imbibed the Upadesam from Perumal himself directly. And it's only from her that all the others trace their music and their learning and everything. So let's have Matim Dehi.
विहर्ष विशाल पद्मनयने गोविलास दर्शनादिहर्ष विशाल पद्मनयने देवमगीरुह मूलासीने दिव्यकलमयुग कृताभिषेषण देवमगीरुह मूलासीने दिव्यकलमयुग कृताभिषेषण देव देव दयिते करुणागज गयिते सुरनरमुनिगण सेविते मतिम्बे वरमङ्गे शुभङ्गे मम सततं कल्याणि मतिं
Before we move from here, a small bit about the Vadakale and the Tenkale. Like all good Indian communities, these two have never seen eye to eye, and they have gone to the extent of drawing blood from each other if needed. So one is a U and the other is a Y. I have never discovered which is which. But the most famous story is when it kept 5 generations of judges occupied on which namam the elephant in the Kanchipuram Varadaraja Swami temple should wear. And finally, the elephant decided everything by dying conveniently in the process. After which they never had the story about the nama. So let's now go back to the temple proper, where we'll some bit about the temple history, and then on to the back side of the temple. I am never able to tear myself away from this particular building. Every time I come here, I think about what might have been. Now, this is actually one of the biggest houses, if you look at it in terms of area, around this temple site. So naturally, it was called Periya Agam, big house. Now, this was the house of, what is this thing now? Thirumal Rao, Pradhan Thirumal Rao. Pradhan Thirumal Rao was actually the Bakshi of the Maharani of Mysore during the time that Tipu Sultan was effectively ruling in her name. The Maharani hated Tipu Sultan and was continuously intriguing to get Tipu Sultan out. So Thirumal Rao really played a very important role in negotiating with the British. That when they wage war on Tipu Sultan and eventually when he is killed, the Maharani's son would become once again the rightful heir to the throne of Mysore. And Thirumal Rao himself would become the Diwan of Mysore. So this was all very neatly organized and arranged. And then in 1799, as you know, Tipu Sultan was killed. But Tipu was killed by rank treachery because Diwan Purnaya, who was the Diwan of Mysore at that time, he helped the British. And the agreement there was that once Tipu was killed, Purnaya would become the Diwan. So where did Thirumal Rao go? Pradhan Thirumal Rao immediately resigned and came back to Madras. And once he resigned, they did what all IAS officers have had in later. உங்களால சீஃப் செக்ரட்டரி ஆக முடியாதுன்னா உங்களுக்கு ஸ்டேட்டஸ் ஆஃப் சீஃப் செக்ரட்டரி கொடுத்துடுறோம் சார், அது நீங்க ஏன் கவலைப்படுறீங்க? So he'll become commissioner of direct taxes with status of chief secretary. It'll be written in brackets so that everybody knows. So this is exactly what happened to Thirumal Rao. They said even if you retire, it doesn't matter. We'll give you the same status as Diwan. So Thirumal Rao said, the country should know that I have got the same status. So every month when my salary is paid, it should come with Nagaswaram and Melam in a silver salver and be brought here. So this was religiously followed till Thirumal Rao died. Now Thirumal Rao, because he was very well to do, acquired a lot of property in the surrounding area. Some very noble work was done by his descendants, whom we will meet later. But over a period of time, this became portion houses. Every room became a one-room tenement with one toilet or common toilet and things like that. Just before the World War was Srinivasa Raman, the mathematician. He lived in that little, between the grey building and this yellow building, there is a lane. And that is part of this building, and that is where he lived. That is when, the Port Trust, really recognized him. He was an employee of the Port Trust, and then his theorems were sent to London, and then it was recognized, and then he was invited to come. So it was in this place, in this privation, that he really lived, and he was writing out all his theorems. And then, of course, you know, the rest of the story, you know. But every time I come here, I can never move without telling this story. So I said that, and now we move to the temple proper. Mandapam, where you are standing, this is a Vijayanagar piece. Just this. This is these 4 pillars with the roof, not the mandapam that is behind. That is a much later piece. That would probably be 200 years after this particular mandapam was constructed. So you can, if you go down, and I'll take you down a little bit, the very decadence in the carvings, between the deterioration in the standards of carving between this particular mandapam and the one that follows is very, very striking. It just shows how we were steadily losing what was our own talent. So look at this woman over here, this dancer who is standing in a twisted fashion, and look at her. And then if I'll take you down and I'll show you the proportions which are over there, and you'll be able to immediately make out the difference between the two. So this particular temple is the only Divya Desam that stands within the geographical limits of Madras city. Everything else like Tirunir Malai, all that is a much later addition. So this is the only Divya Desam. A Divya Desam is one of the 108 holy places to Vishnu, out of which 106 are on earth and 2 you'll have to see after you go upstairs, so to speak. And these have all been visited by the 12 great Alvars. So of the 12 Alvars, only one shrine has all the 12 Alvars having sung on it, that is Sri Rangam, which is referred to as Koil. All the others are inferior in status if you look at it that way. But Tiruvallikeni has had 3 Alvars singing about it. So you had Pei Alvar, Tirumalizhai Alvar, and then finally Tirumangai Alvar. These are the 3 great Alvars who sung on this particular shrine. Now the temple itself dates back from the 5th century onwards. So it's one of the oldest shrines possible in this part of the world. And between the 5th and the 8th century, the temple was invested upon by a number of Pallava kings. And in the 9th century, when Tirumangai Alvar writes his 10 verses on Tiruvallikeni, he says, Tondayar Kon, that is the king of the Tondai Mandalam, he built the particular Gopuram on top of this particular shrine. Now this Gopuram that you see is not that has vanished over a period of time, and then a more recent Gopuram has replaced it. But between the 3 Alvars, that is between Pei Alvar and Tirumangai Alvar, a period that spans around 300 to 400 years, you can actually see how this temple has grown. Because Pei Alvar is very cursory in his references to the temple. He just says that, there is Vishnu and etc. etc. It's a 1-line reference. Tirumalizhai is a slightly more detailed, there is a 4-line reference. Tirumangai comes up with a 10-verse reference. And you can also see that by the time Tirumangai came, this temple had acquired the current contours that it has. Because when you go inside, there is Parthasarathi, who is the Utsavar actually. He is the processional deity. The Moolavar is Venkata Krishnan. And Venkata Krishnan is 8 feet or so in height, a remarkably impressive deity. And this is one of those deities where Shankar and I always talk about this. You just have to cross this mandapam and you can see the deity from wherever you are. Most handsome and most striking, and you can just stand there gazing at it forever. This is the only representation of Vishnu with a handlebar moustache. A proper Dravidian trait, which is why after that all politicians and cinema stars nobody without a moustache has succeeded. So Venkata Krishnan stands there holding no weapon other than the conch. Because it is said that he promised that in the Kurukshetra war, he would not carry any weapons. But there is a long knife, a long sword that dangles from his waist over here. And they say that sword means that he is cutting off all our sins, but he is not holding it. It is just tied to him. The conch is the only weapon or the only instrument that he is holding in his hand. And next to him is Rukmini, his wife. On this side is Balarama, his brother. Then Satyaki, another brother. And then you've got Aniruddha and Pradyumna. So they are all standing in the sanctum. Next to that, on this side, you've got Ranganatha Swami lying down with Sri Devi and Bhudevi. and it is believed that that is the original shrine of this temple. So probably that Ranganatha dates back to the 5th century or so. Inside that there is a tiny Varaha Murti that most people will miss. But you should see it because it is on the left hand side of Ranganatha Swami. And next to Ranganatha Swami is a representation of Rama, not just with Sita, Lakshmana and Hanuman, but with Bharata and Shatrughna as well. So the Hanuman is actually standing on the opposite end of the corridor. Rama with Lakshmana, Sita, Bharata and Shatrughna is standing on the opposite side. Now this is as far as the sanctum is concerned. When you come out of the sanctum, you will find a Dev Varadaraja Swami Sannadhi. And there the iconic representation is very unique. It shows Vishnu on top of Garuda and coming as he did when he came to kill the crocodile in order to save the elephant. And behind it is the Sannadhi to Narasimha. Narasimha faces this is facing east, Narasimha faces west. So the principal deities here are Venkatakrishnan and Narasimha, with both of them having Dvajastambhams, and therefore both have their own Brahmotsavams also. So it's a very unique back-to-back temple. We'll be going to the other side as well. I'm not taking you inside the shrine because you can't see any of the deities now because the Margazhi Masam Vaikuntha Ekadasi is going to come. All the deities are closed and they are all having their annual anointment with fragrant oil. So you won't be able to see them at this point of time. But this is a temple where there are utsavams happening right through the year because of all these deities. So you've got Venkatakrishnan or Parthasarathi who has his Brahmotsavam in the month of Chitrai. Then in Vaigasi you've got Varadaraja coming out. Then in Animasam, which is the height of summer, Narasimha has this festival. Adi is Andal. Puratasi is Vedavalli Tayar, who is the consort of the Ranganatha Swami. Then between Aipasi and Karthikei, you have various events taking place for the various Alvars. Margazhi once again becomes a festival for the entire temple with Andal. Then in Thai Masam again with Pongal and all that, you've got festivals happening. Mashi is dedicated to Rama. And Panguni, you've got Ranganatha Swami's Brahmotsavam. So right through the year, you've got festivals happening here. And across all these festivals, SL tells me that this is probably the only shrine where the Nalayara Divya Prabandham is recited 5 times in full in the whole year. Because between all these festivals, the Alvar's 4,000 verses are recited without stopping. So this is one of those very, very unique shrines. So as I said, there is Tirumalizai, there is Pei Alvar and there is Tirumangai Alvar. Now this is as far as the Alvars are concerned. And then from the 16th century onwards, the Carnatic music composers, as we know of them, take over. So you've got a series of musical, not from the 16th, from the 18th century, I'm sorry. So you've got Subbaraya Shastri, the son of Shyama Shastri, and also the common disciple of Tyagaraja, Dikshitar and Shyama Shastri. So he came here and he composed only 11 songs in his whole lifetime. And one of them is on this particular temple. Then Tyagaraja's disciple Balajapet Venkatramana Bhagavatar, his disciple was Mysore Sadasiva Rao. He came here and composed. Subbarama Dikshitar, the descendant of Muthuswami Dikshitar, came here and composed. M.D. Ramanathan has composed songs on this particular temple. Ramanathapuram Puchi Srinivasa Iyengar, Ariyakudi Ramanuja Iyengar's guru, he also has composed music over here. So this is one of those temples with a very, very rich musical tradition. Before we proceed, a song, Ninnu Sevinchina, composed by Subbaraya Shastri on this particular temple. Brinda and Mukta, like these, they were two sisters, but Iva Ten Oruka Padrana, Ava Nakula Arbamane Vichinda Party. Very sharp tongued women. Now, towards the end of their life, Brinda and Mukta, they went to live in Adyar and Gandhinagar, and they used to miss this Ninnu Sevinchina very much. So they practically adopted the Padmanabha Swami, Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple there, and during the annual Utsavam on Garuda Sevai day, both of them will go and sing and only then the Perumal would be taken in procession. So this Ninnu Sevinchina has had a rich tradition as far as Perumal temples are concerned. So it's over to you now.
Yeah. कवि जना कुमार पूजित पार शरणागत जना वन कृपानिधि विसार सदलाक्ष शरणागत जना वन कृपानिधि चिर जमूल
It sings of Rama, it sings of Parthasarathi, and it sings of Varadaraja as well. All three are mentioned in this particular song.
कमलनाभ श्री रमण कमलनाभ श्री रमण कमलनाभ श्री रमण कमलनाभ श्री रमण कमलासन मुख चरण कमलनाभ श्री रमण कमलासन मुख चरण समनाभ श्री रमण कमलासन मुख चरण समरे जाल मेल दाल जाल करुण तो रचरा काची लक्ष्मी चिरगिरा करुण तो रचरा काची लक्ष्मी चिरगिरा करुण तो रचरा काची लक्ष्मी चिरगिरा वरपाठ सारथियनी சாரதியனி வரபார்க்க சாரதியனி வசூடலோ விருதாகி கூடவும் வரபார்க்க சாரதியனி வசூடலோ விருதாகி கூடவும் பரமபக்த ಕೋಟ್ಲಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಮುಡಿಚಿ ರೋಚಿದಿವೆ ಪರಮಭಕ್ತ ಕೋಟ್ಲಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಬರ ಮುಡಿಚಿ ರೋಚಿದಿವೆ ಪರದ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶನ ನುರಿತವೆಲ್ಲ ದೀಪವಯ್ಯ ಪರಮಭಕ್ತ ಕೋಟ್ಲಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಬರ ಮುಡಿಚಿ ರೋಚಿದಿವೆ ಪರದ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶನ ನುರಿತವೆಲ್ಲ ದೀಪವಯ್ಯ ಸಹಯವೇನನ್ನು ಜಾಲ ಮೇಲ ದಾಳ ಜಾಲ
Front of the Narasimha shrine, which is just over here. And as I said, Parthasarathy Venkatakrishnan faces that direction, Narasimha faces this direction. And this Narasimha is Yoga Narasimha. He is supposed to be eternally in meditation. And the Utsava Murti is called Telliyasinga Perumal, which is why this street is called Thulasinga Perumal. Over a period of time, that particular name has got corrupted into common usage. And Narasimha is seated with a Katibandhanam, that is, he is having a belt around his knees to indicate that he is doing yoga. And so he is drained of all his anger after he has killed Hiranyakashipu. He is drained of all his anger. So this is the shrine that faces this direction. It's got a lot of similarity to Sholingar, the hill on which Narasimha is also doing penance. And just as Narasimha gave darshanam to 7 sages in Sholingar, it is believed that he gave darshanam to Atri over here, the sage Atri. In fact, Sholingar is called Ghatikachalam because for 1 second he paused there and he gave darshanam to the 7 sages. So Ghatika is the second. And here he gave darshanam to Atri. So we selected Muthuswami Dikshitar's Narasimha Agacha to be sung over here. And in that particular song, there is a line which says Suruchira Karigiri Vichara Varada. That particular line comes in this song. And that is testimony to Dikshitar's eye for detail. It is not composed at this temple, so please don't interpret it that way. It was composed in Sholingar. But several years prior to Dikshitar, it is said that there was a Brahmin in Sholingar called Doddacharya, who every year during the Kanchipuram Varadaraja Swami Garuda Seva would go all the way to Kanchipuram to witness the Seva there. But as he grew old, he couldn't proceed to Kanchipuram and he stayed back in Ghatikachalam praying to Narasimha. Now when the Kanchipuram Varadaraja Swami came out in procession, I believe the bearers were instructed to lower the umbrellas at the gate. And when they lowered the umbrellas, Doddacharya could actually see the Garuda Sevai from the top of the Sholingar hill. Even now, during the Garuda Sevai, when Varadaraja comes out of the temple gates, they will lower the umbrellas once, saying that, Doddacharya is seeing it from Sholingar. So this particular incident, which is such a minor incident in a temple history, Dikshitar has decided that he has to incorporate it into the song. So that particular line, Suruchira Karigiri Vichara Varada, having given boons to the man who is ever thinking about Karigiri or Hastigiri, which is Kanchipuram. So it refers to that incident of Doddacharya. So I just wanted to bring to light that one. So we'll have Narasimha Agacha, and then I'll tell you the story about the very, very important personality who lived just down the road.
With uncle's permission, நான் இப்போ ஒரு ஸ்ரீமத் பாகவதத்துலேருந்து ஒரு நரசிம்மரோட அவதாரம் ஸ்லோகம் ஒன்று பாட போகிறேன். அதில் என்ன the story behind that is பிரகலாதர் கிட்ட ஹிரண்யகசிபு கேட்குறாரு, எங்க நாராயணன் எங்க காமின், அவர் வந்து எல்லா இடத்துலையும் இருக்கார், இங்கே தூணிலையும் இருக்கார், துரும்புலையும் இருக்கார் அப்படின்னு சொல்றச்சு நரசிம்மர் was not actually ready to come. அவதாரம் பண்றதுக்கு அவர் ரெடியாவே இல்லை. அப்போ வந்து அவரோட பிரகலாதன் வந்து இப்ப தூணில இருக்கான்னு சொன்னதுனால அந்த வாக்க சத்தியம் பண்றதுக்கு வேண்டி அப்போதுக்கு அவர் எடுத்த அத்தியுத ரூபம். So the shlokam she will sing the shlokam from Srimad Bhagavatam and then we will sing Narasimha Agacha. Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam
च भूतेषु अखिलेषु चात्मनः अदृश्यता अदृश्यता अत्यद्भुतरूपमुद्वहन् स्तम्भे सभायां न मृगं न मानुषम् नरसिंह गच्छ परब्रह्म पूछ 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 स्वेच्छ स्वच्छ नरसिंह गच्छ परब्रह्म पूछ हरिहर ब्रह्मेन्द्राणि पूजिताद्यच्छ हरिहर ब्रह्मेन्द्राणि पूजिताद्यच्छ हरिहर ब्रह्मेन्द्राणि पूजिताद्यच्छ परमभागवत प्रह्लाद भक्त्येश परमभागवत प्रह्लाद भक्त्येश नरसिंह गच्छ परब्रह्म पूछ धीरतर घटिकाचलेश्वर सौरतर हेमकोटीश्वर धीरतर घटिकाचलेश्वर सौरतर हेमकोटीश्वर वीरवर मोहन विभास्वर मारवर मानव हरीश्वर धीरतर घटिकाचलेश्वर सौरतर हेमकोटीश्वर वीरवर मोहन विभास्वर मारवर मानव हरीश्वर मुरहर नगधर सरसिजकर परम पुरुष पवनज शुभकर मुरहर नगधर सरसिजकर परम पुरुष पवनज शुभकर सुरुचिर करि गिरिवरद विचर सरस गुरु हृदय सहचर मुरहर नगधर सरसिजकर परम पुरुष पवनज शुभकर सुरुचिर करि गिरिवरद विचर सरस गुरु हृदय सहचर सरि ग प ग ध प द स प द प ग प द रि स ग रि स द प ग प प द प स स प द प प ग प द स रि ग रि स द प ग प द प स द प द प प ग रि स ग सिंह गच्छ परब्रह्म पूछ स्वेच्छ स्वच्छ नरसिंह गच्छ परब्रह्म पूछ
So now, as I said, this is the Narasimha shrine, and then just behind you, rather in keeping with the fact that such a fiery god as Narasimha existed here, is the house of probably India's most fiery poet, Subramanya Bharati. Now, this is not, if you look at the size of the building, you would imagine that Bharati lived in great comfort and this is a huge house, but it is not true. You need to go inside and there is a one-room tenement with no sunlight, no air possible in it, and that is where Bharati lived. And if you go there, you will shed tears because such beautiful poetry to have been created under such trying circumstances, it's next to impossible. I mean, today, during the recent floods, some of us didn't have power for 3 days. We grumbled no end about it. But Bharati could create so much with such suffering that it is, I mean, it's one of the most moving experiences going into that building. Unfortunately, it is not open now, but you can do it during the day at any point of time. So Bharati was born in 1882, and then, his father was very keen that he should become an engineer. But Bharati's love was language. And then, having studied to a certain extent, he then went and taught at the Setupati High School, and then went back to Ettayapuram, where he became the Asthana Vidwan of the court, of the Ettayapuram court, hated it, and then, having insulted the Raja, came away. And then came to Madras, where he worked in a paper called India. And this particular paper called India, I mentioned to you Diwan Pradhan Thirumal Rao. Pradhan Thirumal Rao's descendants were the people. MP Thirumalacharya was the man who was actually running this newspaper. And when we came out of the shrine, there was a bright yellow building on this side. It hurt my eyes to see it. Because till 6 months ago, it was the most beautiful house and it was called Gautama Ashrama. The moment the last owner of Gautama Ashrama died, they decided to convert it into that multi-story building, all yellow painted and orange and all that. And that is what remains of it. That is where the family members, the descendants of Pradhan Thirumal Rao lived. And Bharati worked in that particular paper. Now, Bharati's most creative years were actually then, but he was not living here at that point of time. He was living in Georgetown, where also Swadesamitran was in those days, and India was also, being brought out from one of those presses in that particular area. And Bharati not only drew cartoons, he wrote scathing editorials against the government, he wrote music reviews. And he said even then that it is high time these Carnatic musicians stopped singing in Telugu, a language which they don't understand, and they should start singing in Tamil. A man who was far ahead of his time, even then he was doing it. And the government did not like anything of what he was doing. And in 1908, they clamped down on India. And Bharati had to escape. Bharati had several friends, one of whom was Dr. M.C. Nanjund Rao, who was a very well-known physician of Triplicane, and he had his house in Mylapore, the Buckingham Canal being just behind it. And because he was a powerful doctor with several policemen being his patients, they delayed the arrest of Bharati till he was secreted away into the house of Dr. Nanjund Rao, finally put on a boat on the Buckingham Canal, and he moved to Pondicherry. And that very night, the printing press of India was dismantled piece by piece, and members of the Parthasarathy Iyengar family carried it on their heads and loaded it onto boats and sent it also off to Pondicherry. So the press was reassembled in Pondicherry, from where India began to come out once again. But that was French territory, so he was able to stay there. But the biggest circulation for India was in Madras, and the government banned the newspaper here. So there was no way that the newspaper could survive. So Bharati lived on in Pondicherry. He missed Madras. He missed this cultural atmosphere that was here. He missed his interactions with Vau Chidambaram Pillai, whose Swadesi movement he had supported, and therefore he had landed in trouble. But that is where he wrote things like Panchali Sabadam, Kuyil Paatu, and all that. When he was in Pondicherry, he wrote all that. But he also became addicted to opium at that point. And then, of course, in 1918, with the World War coming to an end, Bharati thought he could come back. He came to Kadalur and was promptly arrested there and sent to the Kadalur prison, which really broke him, the imprisonment. But in 1919, a general amnesty was declared and Bharati was set free. Then he moved to Madras and he became the associate editor of the Swadesamitra, which is where he began to work. And that is when, in 1920, he met Mahatma Gandhi, a meeting that lasted just for a few fleeting seconds, not more than that. He barged into the house of Mahatma Gandhi and said, where Gandhi was staying on Cathedral Road, and said, can you come over to address a meeting? Gandhi said, I am engaged otherwise. Bharati stormed out. And that was the only meeting that the two of them had. Now, I mentioned Vaimu Kodai Nayaki. Prior to 1908, when Kodai Nayaki was still young, and she had got married and she was at home singing the Tirupavai, legend has it that this mustachioed stranger wearing a turban was so inspired by her dance, by her singing, that he dragged her out onto the street and danced with her for a few minutes. And then they say that Aduvome Pallu Paduvome was composed in the joy that he felt on hearing Kodai Nayaki sing in triplicate. And that is the origin of that particular song. So Bharati in 1920, once he had come back to Swadesamitran, was living in a one-room tenement in this particular house. Every day would go to feed the elephant, as we all know. And one day the elephant very playfully brushed him aside. Bharati did not die because the elephant had pushed him. In fact, that's a legend. Yana Thalli Bharati. The man was already very weak physically. And when he was pushed by the elephant, he had pneumonia even then. And then he was bedridden for 2 to 3 weeks. Finally, he died. His body weighed 40 pounds at the time of the funeral. And there was a handful of people, just 12 people, who came to take Bharati away on his last journey. At that time, the government of Madras had banned Bharati's poems being sung in the city and in the presidency. And this was not a British government. This was the Justice Party that was in power at that time. And among the first legislations they brought about was a banning of Bharati's songs on the grounds of sedition. Satyamurthy, who was a member of the Madras Legislative Council, gave speeches against it, but nothing could be done. The vote was passed and Bharati's songs were banned in Madras. Mrs. Bharati, Chellamal, had to sell the rights of Bharati's songs to a recording house in order to survive. And Suraj Mals, the recording house, they bought the rights, but they did not release the songs. But musicians continued singing it in concerts. Musri Subramanya Iyer, later on D.K. Patamal, even while the band was on, M.S. Subbulakshmi, they all began to sing the songs in concert platforms, and so Bharati's songs became popular. Theatre took to Bharati's songs in a very big way, Tamil theatre. So that is where also Bharati's songs began to come out. Finally, in 1947, when A.V. Meyyappan was making Naam Iruvar, he realized that, independence was around the corner, and Naam Iruvar, the film, was being made with Kumari Kamala dancing in it. And they decided to incorporate D.K. Patamal singing several of Bharati's songs in it. And then Meyyappan acquired the rights of Bharati's songs from Suraj Mal for 10,000 rupees. And once the film was released, he nationalized the rights. He said, Bharati cannot be subject to any copyright any longer. Everybody has the right to sing, everybody has the right to publish Bharati. And that is how Bharati's poems really made it big eventually. But the first printing of Bharati songs was also done in Madras. 3 songs, Paduvome, Pallu Paduvome, and then 2 others, I forget which ones they were. They were printed by V. Krishnaswamy Iyer, who was then a very leading judge of the Madras High Court. This was sometime in 1903, 1904 or so, when they, not Aduvome, I think some other song, 3 of them were published on one sheet. That is really the beginning of the publication of Bharati's songs. So today we will have a song of Subramanya Bharati before we go to the last stop, which is the Davana Utsava Bungalow of Parthasarathy.
ஞானத்திலே பரமோனத்திலே உயர்வானத்திலே அன்னதானத்திலே ஞானத்திலே பரமோனத்திலே உயர்வானத்திலே பரத நாடு எங்கள் பாதைக்குள்ளே நாடு.
The Davana Utsava Bungalow, which is just down the corner from here. I'm taking you there because that is where a lot of music performances and harikathas happened at one point of time. And that, I think, is a good place to talk about the modern influence of Triplicane or Tiruvallikeni on Carnatic music. Several big names in Carnatic music, and you'll be astounded at the names that come out once we go there. They lived here in these 4 roads and in the surrounding big street area. And they all made very big names in the world of music. So this is an appropriate place to go and to remember them. And then we'll have one last Alvar Pasuram over there. Famous Davana Utsava Bungalow. Parthasarathy has got bungalows all around Triplicane. So Vasanta Bungalow no that is no longer there from what I know. Irka yes sir?
இல்ல
It's called bungalow. Ama Vasanta Bungalow. All 19th century creations. So on various Utsavams, Parthasarathy will come out and he will spend a day there and then he'll go back. So among the strange things about Parthasarathy is that you don't know where he will be at any point of time. Or there late in the evening, e-card car Parthasarathy is coming in Pallakku. இங்க எதுக்கு வராரு அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா ஈக்காடு தாங்கல் உற்சவம்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு. வருஷத்துல ஒரு நாள் he'll go all the way there and then he'll spend the whole day in ஈக்காடு தாங்கல் and come back late in the night. So this Davana Utsava Bungalow, the festival happens in the month of the summer months. Masi Masam is when the Davana Utsavam will happen. And originally this was a non-covered area and it was just an open place. And behind this there are 2 very interesting pillars which go back, which look exactly like the High Court dome. One of them has collapsed and the other one is still standing. Some of the people who lived in Triplicane and who contributed to Carnatic music in a big way. So you've got M.S. Subbulakshmi. She was a resident of Big Street, just down here. And M.S. Subbulakshmi got married to Sadasivam in 1937. And the first house they lived in was on Big Street. And this was from where MS used to write letters. This is not to be quoted anywhere, saying that he locks me up and goes out every day till evening and I'm imprisoned inside the house. So there was a period when she was getting used to Mr. Sadasivam's disciplinary tactics. Now, very close to that house lived Saraswati Bai. Saraswati Bai, the first non-Devadasi to begin singing and perform Harikatha. She lived there. So without her, women would not have taken to performing after the anti-Nach movement went away. And then you had Dr. Ramanathan. Dr. Ramanathan, who lived on Pulasinga Perumal Street, one of the greatest musicologists possible, a Vainika, and his guru Devakota Narayana Iyengar, who lived just 2 houses down here, right here. And our Dr. Ramanathan, there can be no greater good Samaritan than he as far as the world of Carnatic music is concerned. It was a world where, rat eats rat, dog eats dog kind of thing. In fact, lots of people ask me, if a Kacheri season cancel Aidava because 2 people have cancelled. So I said, if 2 people cancel, there are 20 people waiting to fill those slots. So that's how the world operates. But Dr. Ramanathan was a saint in human shape. He would go and attend performances of every child possible. In Shastri Hall, every evening he would be seated there and he would encourage every kid. It could be a child probably having learned 2 years and come with a set of Kalpana Swarams already mugged up and all that, and then he would still say, "Idu andha kaalathula yaro paadina apdiye irukku, evlo nanna irukku, idu nanna paadano," and he would mean it very sincerely. And the man was so involved with music that very often he would forget his own house and walk into somebody else's house. That was the kind of personality that Dr. Ramanathan was. He lived here. Karur Chinnasamy Ayya, the famous violinist, he lived on Big Street. G.N. Balasubramaniam, he was born in Gudalur, but he came here as an infant and lived on Big Street, and that is where he listened to all the music and became a big star. So we've had several musicians, but the first performance ever for which a ticket was issued was that of Mahavaidyanath Sivan. This was in the 1890s, and Mahavaidyanath Sivan was supposed to sing in a place in Georgetown in a school room. And the crowd was so much that they decided to charge a ticket for it. Vaidyanatha Sivan was so angry that he said, "I will not sell my music for a mere ticket." And he said, I will sing in the Parthasarathi Swami temple 3 nights free. So he came to the Parthasarathi temple and sang for 3 nights free. Every night he collected 250 rupees in 1890. 250 rupees every night. And he would have got 10 rupees probably if he had performed for a ticket. And he collected 750 rupees, out of which 250 was divided between him and his accompanists. 250 was donated to the Parthasarathi Swami temple. 250 was sent to the native village of Vayachi. So that is how Vaidyanatha Sivan practiced his charity. We'll listen to a song composed by Mahavaidyanatha Sivan and his brother Ramaswamy Sivan, after which we will have the last Alvar Pasuram, which will be Vedathai Vedathin Shuvai Payanai, which is about Parthasarathi.
Shri Shankara Guruvaram Chintayami Bhavaharam 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 Shri Shankara Guruvaram Sa Shankara Dipati Bana Sa Shankara Dipati Bana Sa Shankara Dipati Bana Sa Shankara Dipati Bana Jana Guna Kalanam Sa Shankara Dipati Bana Jana Guna Kalanam Gama pada pama gama pama gasa gama magasa gasa 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 gama gasa pama gasa pama gasa gama gama pada pama pada sada pama gama pada sada pada sada gama gasa 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 pada sada pada pama gasa gama pada Shri Shankara Guruvaram Chintayami Bhavaram Shri Shankara Guruvaram Ajnanati Miratarani Ajnanati Miratarani Ajnanati Miratarani Ajnanati Miratarani Angikrita Shruti Saranim Ajnanati Miratarani Angikrita Shruti Saranim Sujnana Sukhadarani Sujnana Sukhadarani Sujnana Sukhadarani Sujnana Sukhadarani Sukshma Pranavarani Sujnana Sukhadarani Sukshma Pranavarani Gama pada pama gama pama gasa gama magasa gasa 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 gama gasa pama gasa da pama gasa gama pada pama pada sada pama gama pada sada da pada sa gama gasa 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 pada sada pada pama gasa gama pada Shri Shankara Guruvaram Chintayami Bhavaram Shri Shankara Guruvaram
The last piece for the morning is a Pasuram from Tirumangai Alvar, the youngest of the Alvars who came here, and as I said, he gave us 10 verses dedicated to this particular temple. And all the 10 verses are wonderful to read, little difficult to understand, particularly if you're not used to the old Tamil that is there in it. The last 5 verses describe the 5 Sannadhis in this temple. So even in the 9th century, obviously, these Sannadhis were all there. And the one on Rama says that he stands with Maithili, with Lakshmana, with Bharata and Shatrughna. So obviously the icons were already there. And then when it talks about Gajendra Varada, that is Varadaraja, it says, Yanai Tuyar Nika Pul Urnd Chendre Nindre Adi Tottane. That is, in order to vanquish the sorrow of the elephant, he got on to the bird, then he flew, he reached, he stood for a moment. While he stood, and then Adi Tottane, it never says that he used the chakra, he just touched it. That's all. And then the one other verse is on Hiranyakasipu and Prahlada, where it says, the child came back from school having learned some 1,000 strange names, and the father was very angry. And then asked him to prove where the Lord is, and then the child pointed to the pillar from which this creation came out and killed the father. And then what this verse that they are going to sing says, I saw in that Tiruvallikeni Mailai. In fact, all the Alvars, they refer to Tiruvallikeni in conjunction with Mailai. Even Tirumaishi Alvar says, Ma Mailai Mavallikeniya. That is how he talks about him. Here he says that I saw in that Mailai Tiruvallikeni where incomparable women live in storied houses.
Wow.
I saw that fruit, that sweet fruit, which is the Veda and which is also the meaning of the Veda, which is that fruit that is devoured by the great sages, that primordial nectar. My father, who took control of me, I saw him in this particular Tiruvallikeni. Vedathai, Vedathin Suvai Payanai, Vizhumiya Munivargal Vizhungum, Kodilir Kaniyai, that is that sweet fruit, Nandanar Kalitrai, the elephant in the stables of Nandanar, Nanda Gopa, Adiyai Amudai, Ennai Aatkonda Appanai, that is Uppavarilla Madargal Vaalum Madamamailai Tiruvallikeni Kandene. That is how Alvar, Tirumagay Alvar concludes. So we will have that pasuram set by themselves to a tune.
Oh, I'm going to sing it as a Vritam.
Sing it as a Vritam.
Mada